Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hivemind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, people say one thing, and it's absolutely true, that government moves slowly and is incredibly inefficient. It's totally true. The cogs of the machine, which is known as Washington, aren't exactly laid out in a manner for things to get done effectively, and the government trying to pass stimulus is probably the greatest example of that exact idea. You know, the fact the president has been able to do what he's been able to do, given the circumstances of government over the last couple of years, is pretty incredible if you really sit and consider it. And so once again, things are getting messy. We just made a video yesterday about Trump's genius plan. A lot of people were claiming that he sold out, that he bent the knee, he folded to the establishment, but really, he didn't have a choice. And in that video, we made the claim that most likely the $2,000 amendment to the stimulus package would pass the Senate, but Mitch McConnell probably wouldn't have any of it. And turns out, Mitch McConnell just blocked the vote. And so once again, the establishment rhinos, the GOP neocons of old, are proving they are just as much snakes as the Democrats are. And so we have a bunch of angles to talk about here. We got to call out the GOP. We got to talk about this stimulus package. Once again, we're going to talk about Nikki Haley. We're going to talk about Nancy Pelosi. We're going to talk about Section 230. We got a whole lot of things to talk about. But before we get into any of it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm. And with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. All right, so let's set the baseline. Breaking: Mitch McConnell blocks vote on $2,000 stimulus checks. And so what this means is essentially they're not even going to vote on it. Now, of course, the Republicans do have a majority in the Senate. So if they were unanimously against the $2,000 stimulus check amendment, then they could stop it, but they're not. Some Republicans are against it, some are for it, and the Democrats are 100% behind it, and therefore Mitch knows that if it was to actually be voted on the Senate floor, that it would pass on that bipartisan notion. And so, of course, Mitch McConnell just steps in and blocks the whole damn thing. Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell blocked the unanimous passage of a bill offering $2,000 relief checks to Americans on Tuesday, the New York Post reports. The bill had already passed through the House of Representatives with support from members of both parties. The unanimous passage bill was supported by Democrat Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. The $2,000 stimulus checks have also been endorsed by President Trump, who called the $600 checks a disgrace. And so there's a couple different perspectives here. Of course, the liberals are taking it and running with it, going after Mitch McConnell, which is seemingly something they do every 2 weeks. And Mitch McConnell does in fact give them the fuel to do that. Then there's Republicans who are happy that Mitch McConnell did this. Of course, in their view, handing out money to people is socialism. And then there's other Republicans, and I'd say a lot of moderates, who are ticked off that Americans, mostly in Democrat-run cities, who are being actively put out of business and cannot pay their rent, are going to get a measly $600. Yep, you might be struggling, your kids are hungry, and the government just bought you, what, a new PlayStation? Good luck, bub. You'll be all right. And take a look at what Mitch had to say on the floor.
So when it's our turn in Congress to have their backs, failure is not an option either. I would urge my colleagues to support this legislation one more time when we vote tomorrow. Now, on another matter, on Sunday, President Trump signed into law another historic bipartisan rescue package. It will provide major support to American families through what we hope will be the home stretch of our fight with the coronavirus. Congressional Republicans, Congressional Democrats, and President Trump's senior team had all worked together to pass hundreds of billions more dollars in urgent assistance to the people who need it most. This new law will set up a targeted second round of paycheck protection to save jobs. It will renew and continue federal programs that have helped laid-off workers endure the crisis. It will send more cash to households. It will invest billions in vaccine distribution so the success of Operation Warp Speed kills the pandemic as fast as possible, and much more.
And so he mentions that failure is not an option and doesn't mention the $2,000 checks whatsoever, just trying to avoid the issue entirely. And he's trying to pretend as if it doesn't even exist. We've also got this report right over here. Mitch McConnell says President Trump's requests on $2,000 checks, Section 230, and voter issues are linked together, and the Senate will begin to consider them this week. And so which one is it? Is Mitch McConnell just taking the people for a ride? Yeah, we're going to get the $2,000 checks, then pretends as if they don't exist. Oh, we're going to take a look at Section 230 and then do absolutely nothing like they've done for the last 4 years. Oh, we're going to look into the integrity of the election and then do absolutely nothing. And Mitch McConnell is trying to convince all Republicans to unanimously not look at the election, not contest the results, and just accept Joe Biden as president-elect. Who is Mitch McConnell working for? And you know, we got this argument from establishment Republicans that seems to be picking up some steam from a certain sect of the community. And that's the idea that the $2,000 checks for struggling Americans would have been deemed survival checks are a form of socialism socialism, and no money should be handed out whatsoever. You hear the common phrase, the rhetoric, we don't want $600, we don't want $2,000, we want good paying jobs, to which, yes, in a perfect world, I agree. I do agree that should be the outlook. However, states have their own sovereignty and they run based on the leadership within the state itself, and Democrats are ruining the lives of middle-class Americans. And who's going to help them? It should be the taxpayers. Stimulus isn't direct socialism, the government taking control of industry in a vertical fashion. It's just a subsidy, and you're going to pay your taxes anyways. Wouldn't you want your taxes to go out and help average Americans? I think that makes a whole lot of sense. And I don't understand why the outrage is targeted towards stimulus checks headed towards the pockets of actual Americans who are going to stimulate the economy, and not to the actual socialism, which doesn't even benefit Americans in the first place. What's the word I'm looking for? Foreign aid. How many billions upon billions of dollars in that one spending package, in the one coup relief package, is being spent across the world in different countries? So foreign aid and socialism and subsidizing ineffective, wasteful spending for other nations is not socialism, or I guess is going to be put on the back burner as you attack the $2,000 stimulus checks. I think that's a little bit ludicrous, to be quite frank. The focus needs to be the wasteful spending. The $2,000 stimulus is nothing, and it would be nice if there was enough pressure being applied on Washington to amend those issues, rearrange the spending bill, and effectively use government funds to actually benefit Americans and stimulate the economy and keep people's head above water. That to me makes sense. That's not socialism, that's just doing the right thing. And while of course I think printing money, I think wasting money, devaluing currency, and just handing people free money is not policy that I agree with, but at the end of the day, what choice do we have? As draconian measures continue to be applied across the entire nation, what can be done if nothing is changing and people are succumbing to the authoritarian nature of the left and Democrat leaders across cities and across states? It's honestly probably the only thing that can be done right now, especially considering in some of the worst hit Democrat states, we have stories like this. Michigan governor, of course, Big Gretchen Whitmer, vetoes bill extending unemployment benefits, refuses to lift lockdowns. The bill would have provided $220 million in funding to the Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund, which would have pooled funds to help businesses provide financial support for laid off workers. And so unemployment benefits have been slashed. She vetoes the bill while maintaining the lockdowns and the closure of these businesses, aka the TLDR shutting you down, and then a great big slap in the face, and they're not even gonna help you. So someone's got to do something, and that's of course why the president has been pushing for the $2,000 stimulus aid. Washington government, it's not an easy job, guys, and I truly think the president is just trying to do the right thing and help Americans where they need it. Yes, they need jobs, but right now a lot of them don't have those jobs, and I think foreign spending needs to be slashed, and $2,000 to every American that's suffering under the draconian measures and draconian actions of authoritarian leftist leaders would go a long way. And speaking of the president continuing to fight for for you guys, and of course for freedom on the internet and for little guys like me in our constant battle with big tech, Trump vetoed the most recent National Defense Authorization Act because he wanted Section 230 reform enacted, and House votes to override Trump's veto of the National Defense Authorization Act. So a lot of people that were saying the president sold out, the president caved in, even if he didn't sign the coup stimulus package, it had such an overwhelming majority in the House and in the Senate that they could have overrode his veto anyways, just like they did here. And of course, Washington will continue to do what they do, being lobbyists for big tech, big corporations, the billionaire class, the warmongering machine, and foreign spending, foreign globalist interests across the globe before working for everyday Americans. That is the serious issue when it comes to government spending, not the $2,000 checks for Americans that are suffering. At least that's my perspective, and that's how I could find middle ground, even though I disagree with printing money and handing out free money to everyone, considering its effect on the value of currency. At least it goes back and stimulates the economy and pays people's rents and puts food in their children's mouths. I guess that's the compromise. Now that's what I got for you. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, of course, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. Now I'm gonna get back to work. There's a whole lot of work that needs to be done, of course. You guys know the drill. So I'm gonna get to that. I wanna thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.